Hi everybody, I'm Susan Kennard. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel and also streaming on Facebook today. So I'll just make sure I've got my Facebook up and actually I'm going to get my YouTube up and turn off that. That's the best thing to do. Okay, so the title is, Are You Giving Your Power Away? So being a trauma specialist, and I've worked in that field for, oh my goodness, probably long time, maybe 30 years. Originally psychologist and psychotherapist and neuropsychologist. And I'm also a channel to spirit. So I've been working as a spiritual scientist for a long time. What I have found is that this word empath has been bandied around a lot. And I want to explain to you what an empath is, because when we label ourselves as an empath, we are essentially giving our power away. So you probably feel that you're an empath. I've definitely felt like that in my life, not now, but I definitely have felt it. And what it is, I'm just going to explain it to you, is what it is when we've experienced as a child, as a young child growing up, when we've experienced a feeling like we need to be on guard, or a feeling of not feeling safe, or a feeling of we don't know what's going to happen next, a feeling of I have to look behind me, anything like that. What happens is in our frequency, so in our frequency, we expand. So if you imagine we are this light, and we are this divine being of light. You know, we're here, we are expanding, and we have this physical body, right? So our soul chose this vehicle to experience expansion, but that's another story. So imagine that you've got your physicality and you're as a child and you're expanding your energy so that you are on what's called fight or flight. Okay. So what happens then is that stays as an experience that you have, because you've had to. If you imagine you're putting your arms out to make sure you're not going to touch the sides. Well, it's the same with energy. So if you are in this experience where you've got to watch, maybe you hear a loud noise and you need to be on guard, or maybe you were abused, or maybe you were experienced trauma in another way, whatever it might be, you need to be on guard. So what happens is you go throughout your life and your spidey senses are so expanded that you actually get to feel everyone else's emotions. Now, on some level, that can be good because you can be empathetic, you can understand people, and quite often people do go into healing professions or psychologists or so on because they've had to be on guard. And so they've got this amazing ability to be able to really feel into what somebody else is experiencing. But where that becomes a real tricky thing is when we are actually not able to discern between what is our fear, our emotion, our sadness, our shock, whatever it might be, is ours or someone else's. Does that make sense to anybody listening or listening to the replay? Because it then becomes really confusing. And so what we feel is not necessarily ours, but it is a frequency match. So this is where we get into the experience of, is it ours or is it someone else's? Okay, but we do have a match to it. So if we're feeling an emotion, say it's with a friend or with a partner or whatever, and you feel a sense of overwhelming emotion, and you just kind of think to yourself, well, I was all right before I spent time with this person, or I was all right before I walked into a supermarket, or I was all right before I got on a train, or whatever it might be, and you have this overwhelming feeling of emotion, pretty much that is coming from another person, but it's being activated within you. Okay. So that activation within you is that empath part of you that has experienced a frequency match to what that person is experiencing. I know it can be a lot to take on, but if you just imagine you're walking about the world and these are your unseen pieces of you, but they're only unseen until you see them. And that's where our power comes in. So if we don't know what's happening and we feel overwhelmed by emotion, we can't be around people, we don't want to do that, it's because there is this confusion within our field. Okay. And some people call that being an empath. Okay. So that's why I wanted to kind of put it that way for you, because it may be that all your life you felt you're an empath. Pretty much all your life you've been holding on to that piece of trauma, and it's just been reflecting back to you in many different forms. Okay, in people, in situations. And you might be somebody who cries easily or gets angry easily or has an overwhelming emotion easily. And that, I would say, is coming from a place where you did not feel safe and you did not feel connected. All right. So what do we do about that? The question is, yes, we're attracting this, it's coming into our experience, and you may have experienced it in a more intense way. And the reason why I'm saying this right now and doing this video today is because we are in the throes of the eclipse. I'm an intuitive astrologer as well. And when I look at this energy, I can see that people are making really big decisions. They are clearing things out of their life. They're making transformational decisions, but they are also in a place of should I, shouldn't I? Okay. We're just coming up to the lunar eclipse next week in Scorpio. So that is really going to make us look at those deepest, darkest pieces of our emotions. Okay. And if you want to do some healing on that, I'll give you some ideas about how to do that. And I'll leave it in the comments as well below, in the chat below, so that you can join if you would like to. But I have a few events coming up. But essentially what you're doing is you're looking at this part of you out in the world. So just have a think for a moment, when was the last time that you actually felt overwhelmed by emotion and actually just kind of had no idea where that came from? Because it could be that it's actually to do with the collective fear. So there is a huge amount of confusion and collective fear that is happening on this planet. And, unless you've been in a coma for a few years, you know about that. And so you will have been feeling that. I've definitely been feeling that, but I've been looking at it going, this isn't mine. Okay, so I can go, okay, this is a collective fear and it's something that I'm helping people with. All right, but it's actually not my piece. So it's not the bit of me that holds the fear around survival, around disease, around, other aspects of what's going on in the world, restrictions, so on, because actually I have no fear of any of that. So I know that that is actually a piece of the collective that I could actually feel was going on. So just have a think for a moment, what you've been feeling recently, and maybe you have put it down to being an empath and then just tick that box, when actually it's a piece of healing that you actually could be doing to really help yourself. Okay, so let's just come into our heart for a moment and just take that moment for yourself. So let's just come into our heart space. Good. And breathe. When we connect in with our breath, we are calming down our central nervous system, and we're bringing all of our energy into our heart. So we're able to make conscious decisions and they're not in our head. So come down into your heart and feel into good. And you might like to imagine a star under your feet. Good. Your Earth star. And you might like to imagine a star above your head. And just imagine a beautiful light coming down from your soul star above your head, all the way over you, like a beautiful healing shower of sparkling light. Okay, and then just invite your guides in, even if you don't know who they are, that's totally fine. Just invite them to be present with you. Fantastic. Okay, good, good, good. All right, so just come back into your heart and just think about the last time you felt that sense of emotion that you felt. And I want you to feel into your body where you might be holding that emotion. And I want you just to connect in where that is in your body. You may feel it in your heart, or you may feel it somewhere else in your body. It may be in your head, wherever it might be. And just feel into that. Okay. And as you feel into that, just imagine that you can give it a colour. Imagine that colour in your heart or wherever it might be. And as you connect with that colour, I want you to just bring that colour out in front of you, almost as if you could see it. And just feel into that frequency. Yeah. And now I want you to imagine that you can bring a beautiful golden sparkling beam of light all the way down from your head, all the way through your heart, out to that coloured ball in front of you, and disappear that colour. Fill it with that light, which is pure unconditional love. Yeah. And just watch what happens and how you feel. And this is an experience of releasing that emotion that is actually not even yours. Most often, these emotions that we feel are not even ours. So that was just a really quick way so that you can access an emotion. You can maybe term it in another way. Rather than being an empath, you can say, okay, there was that piece of emotion that was actually attracting out to the world and giving me back that experience. And now I've released it. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed being live with me today. Definitely like and subscribe, and make sure that you join me on Friday morning for my 5-minute frequency tune up, where the guides come in and give us a surprise of healing. Much love for now. See you very soon.